Right, hello everyone, this is Charlotte and this podcast called Chatting in Cars. It's where I talk about random topics while I drive to work and try not to die this time. If you listen to the one about, what was I doing yesterday? Grudges. I nearly hit someone on a pedal bike because they flung themselves out. That was an exciting part of the day for me. Alright, so there's a disclaimer that starts the podcast because I do talk about sensitive topics and I do go on tangents, so if I start on one topic I don't tend to stay on one topic. So you'll find yourself talking about kittens and then moving on to, mass homicide or something. So if you want to keep it G-rated, I suggest you don't listen to this podcast. I tend to waffle as well, so I am full of shit and I would admit that. You don't have to believe whatever I say is gospel. These are just my shower thoughts essentially. Or talk therapy if you're in the business. Me trying to get my head straight. I also swear a lot, which I'm unapologetic about because, if you don't want to be a grown-up, don't be a grown-up, man. What are you going to do, snitch? Snitches get stitches. Bitches get stitches. Right, the topic for today is, I wrote it on my hand, burdens. It's Friday. If you're lucky enough to have made it to Freya's Day, not exhausted as an adult, then you are very, very lucky. I'm fucked, but here we go. I'm tired. But then again, I got screaming kids for 8 hours, 30 at a time, so I'm tired for a good reason. Where are they going? This intersection where I'm now is a fucking nightmare. They somehow time it so that everybody wants to come out at once. I don't know how they do that. Right, so burdens. Now, as an adult, you'll find that you're going to have lots of different burdens, some of which are justified, some of which are a pain in the ass, and some of which you can't justify but you go with because fuck it. But it's about finding balance in those burdens. Not everything is a bad burden. I mean, think about going to the gym. You have to lift weights and do horrible things to your body to make things like muscles grow and bone density thicken so you don't get osteoporosis and things like that. So not all burdens are bad. It's the burdens that have an adverse effect on your mental health, your physical health, that we need to start putting down and just not doing. If you can't justify developing something good out of it, then it's probably something you shouldn't be doing. Even with a shitty job. If you're in these circumstances where you're a shitty job, you can't escape it because you're heavily reliant on it and it's your only source of income, then you can justify at least you're getting paid from it, but you should still be shifting towards developing yourself enough to get a better job or different circumstances. If you can, obviously. I mean, I'm not saying everybody's got access to that. No, not everyone's got the luxury of, money, space, time, energy to reach for something better than, I don't know, working in a low-paying job. And not everyone will make it work as well. I've got extensive training because I was heading into lecturing for education. Unfortunately, my life fell apart and I didn't finish getting my doctorate. I got 3 chapters into the thesis and it wouldn't. So I'm like, I've done all this theory and coursework. I got 2 master's degrees just so I could do this doctorate degree, and then it just fell to shit. So I might go back later and try again, but at this point it's not really, the risk to reward ratio isn't really there, because at the moment I'm just chugging along. Why? Again, how long was I out of the house? 10 seconds? 20 seconds? What is this? Blue car, H1HTB 610. What is that? Remember that number plate. Anyway, look at him. He is now the villain for the rest of this trip. But no, it's I was doing alright with the doctorate up until, because I was working full time and running businesses and everything while I was doing it. So I was quite happy just surrounding myself with little projects and things, and I thought married happily at the time, or happily as you can be. And that kind of burden, because I thought I was getting my degree to go into lecturing because it starts at a better pay rate than being just like a classroom teacher. And I was thinking, if I train myself, I can get to the next step, and it's a hard work, heavy burden, but it'll be worth it in the end because I'll be able to provide for us both better. I'll be able to recoup the losses my ex-husband was making with his shitty ideas about being a PT, which I shouldn't have done anyway. So that was the universe interceding there. Intercepting. probably saying, you shouldn't be carrying both of you anyway. It's like, he's a grown-ass adult, he can handle his own. But my mindset was like, I want to be the provider. Oh, I don't mind being the breadwinner, the main provider. So long as he gets to, follow his dream or some shit like that. That was stupid. Because his dream was stupid. It's like, you can't not even make rent right now with whatever you were doing with your boot camps, man. It's like, I don't know how you thought. It was not a well thought out plan. It was something he liked doing, supposedly. I don't know why. And even then he whinged about it, so it was like... but that burden I could justify, because I'm thinking I'll walk out with a degree and I work for us and get some money, get our house together, maybe get the house paid off, because we had an apartment together at the time, which was quite cheap considering what the current apartment prices are. And I was thinking, if I could get this job, then I can just pay it off in like 5 years, it'd be alright. It was that kind of a job to mortgage jump. Ooh, that's a lot of crows. And my crow babies, hello. I love my crow babies. They're so cute and fluffy and grumpy. Anyway, ASD. But I could justify that, and it was killing me at the time. And eventually, when my marriage fell apart, it had a knock-on effect to everything. Everything failed. My businesses went flat because I didn't have the funds. I was trying to pour into that and pour into full-time work and pour into the fucking doctorate degree, and everything just sort of dropped one after the other in domino effect. So that was me doing too much burden, trying to take on too much, obviously. And all it took was like a little splinter cell reaction, and the whole thing went. So I was stuck at sort of not even ground one, because ground one is like you've got like neutral zone. I was actually in the negative. I was in debt when I left, and my ex-husband had the apartment, so I was homeless. I was couch surfing, and it was just like a case of, could this get worse? But at the same time, you still got that mindset. I was like, you know what it was? It was slightly pettiness that made me survive that, I think, because I thought, if I fail more than this, he wins. I think it was that. It's slightly petty. It's pettiness done right. There's pettiness where I'm going to go key his car. It's like, no, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to join the gym. I'm going to pay off my debts, your debts, my debts, our debts. And then I'm going to come back and punch you in the fucking face. Not physically, because I'm not going to prison for a bitch, but at the same time, metaphysically, lifestyle choices wise, I'm going to come back and just boom, up. And in a way I did. I mean, there was a glitch with my ex-boyfriend, where it was like a case of, if I'd have stayed with him, it would have been the same kind of circumstances, but worse. And I could see things like my funds depleting and stuff like that. So he became a burden, not only because, generally he was a shithead, but also because he had no problem with me spending all my money on him, because he wasn't going to use his. And his habits, which I had taken on, were expensive as well, like drinking all the time and constantly going out for like takeout and shit like that. And I'm sitting there going, this is destructive to me and my project, so I'm not going to hang on with this. This has now become a burden, what I want to hold on to as a potential relationship, which he never actually acknowledged. He doesn't like labels. Well, that's fucked you in the end, didn't it? It was a situationship, if anything, and it never was a relationship, so we were technically never together. But he became the burden, not only because he didn't want to pull his weight, but also because he was just generally not a nice person. He was nice-ish in front of his friends, but when, like, behind the scenes, he was like lying, omitting, and all this extra crap. And you sit there and think, I'm not doing this for the next 40 years, so I'm going to put down this burden because it's not mine, clearly. And I still think you have feelings for your ex-girlfriend, so you should go and fix that shit, or maybe go back with her, because you guys are really well suited together because you do the same shit. I'm like, I don't know where you picked up these traits. That's not me. You are not my guy. Bye-bye. You ever see that little meme with a little Indian Pakistani chick? She's getting out of the car. I love that meme. But anyway, so clearly this guy was not my guy. As much as I wanted to hold that candle, not that it was like any kind of a sexualized candle. When I was with my ex-husband, I was sitting there going, it was more a case of, what if I had gone after him instead of what was now my ex-husband? Would it have been better? Would it have been worse? Sort of thing. Everybody's got like well, not everybody, but some people hold the candle that way. It was not a case of, oh, he makes me all these wonderful, fantastic things where I'm like, fucking cement trucks. Whereas like my life depends on whether he exists or not to notice me, you know, sort of shit. It wasn't like that. It was a case of what if I pursued him instead of, would my life have been different? And my life would have been different. It would have been incredibly destabilized. I would probably have started taking drugs, because that was the spiral that he was in at the time. He was doing drugs and clubbing and fucking around and alcohol and pose and bare basic work so that he could fund this drug and this alcohol habit. I'm sitting there thinking, I would have been worse off for chasing him in hindsight. Instead, what did I do? I got married, I finished uni, I got a job, like, you know, I did all the right things. The only thing I did wrong was marry the wrong guy. And that caused the collapse of my empire, per se. If I'd chosen a different guy, maybe it would have been different, but, you know, you can't tell at the time, and I was very dumb at the time, because I was, what, in my 20s? You're not exactly thinking straight in your 20s. Even though I was leaning towards the right direction, it wasn't great. It wasn't ideal. Now heading towards my 40s, I'm sitting there thinking, okay, so what do I actually want in a husband? What do I actually want? Rather than just going, oh, but I love him so much and I'll make it work, I'm now thinking, what are you doing that's worth my time? Because if I have to put down my tools to deal with your shit, I'm going to be pissed. It's like, I don't have the energy or the ability to believe the bullshit to make you feel like you're, you know, worth my fucking time. You need to bring your own sense of self-worth. I'll keep it going with you. I'm not going to drag you down, but I'm not going to sit there and prop you up if you come in feeling like a little boy. It's like, I need a mummy figure. I'm not your mummy. I see no stretch marks. My cervix and uterus are untouched in that regard. No. No. I'm not going to baby you. I don't mind babying and pampering when it's an option, but when it's a necessity, no. I do look after my people, like, I like to baby my women. I like to look after them. They're cuddly. But at the same time, I'm not going to pay your bills. I'm not going to wipe your ass, clean your house and stuff like that. You're a grown-ass adult, figure it out. My mum wouldn't tolerate that from us at 5. Why are we tolerating it from you at 40? It's like, no. It's no. You set the standard for which you're going to tolerate. I'm not playing about that shit. So any guy like that would become a burden in my eyes at this point. If you can't do your own fucking washing, then it looks like you're going to drown in disease. It's like, whoops, that's you. I'm not wiping your ass. And there's guys out there that's like, why won't a woman cook and clean and do all these things? It's like, probably because you don't make it an option. We don't have a choice in the matter. We do it because you're incompetent. It's like, we don't want to be that kind of a mother. If we have kids, we want to be a mum to the kids, not you. I need you to be a partner. Evil. There's some Freudian slip. Equal share. Standing at my shoulder, leading, co-leading. Not down here with the babies, man. It's like, I don't need to change yet another man diaper. It's crazy. Like, why won't you cook my food, do my washing shit? I go out to work. It's like, chances are most women these days go out to work too. And we want someone, if we're going to start throwing those rules around, like, you have to come, I come in from work and you have to have my dinner done and my washing done and all that shit. It's just, I mean, I wasn't raised really with gender roles at that point. Anything that was anything between the two sexes that it was a difference was based on biological structures, like muscle tone and shit. It's like, guys are physically stronger. I would say women in this case might be mentally stronger because we have to put up a lot more shit, and we're already at a predisposition socially to get fucked over by those who are bigger than us physically. So we are sharper, but the guys are physically more, say, powerful, which is why things like brute strength generally take precedence over cunning sometimes. Although David and Goliath, you can outwit a bulky idiot. I will say that. So, you know, it's a hit and miss sometimes. But when someone who comes into your life and they're actually creating problems, it's a burden you need to put down. I'm putting that aircon on. It is going to be 42 today. Fucking Australia. I'm dying, and it's not even like 8 o'clock. It's 7:40 and it's already 23 degrees. Fuck. But yeah, it should be, if you have got issues, like most people come into a relationship with issues these days, particularly at my age, because we've had so many experiences now. That's why the guys like the young girls, because they've had less experience with fucked up men. They want to be that fucked up man that fucks them up more. Let me show you the world. It's like, the world is shit. Yes, but I'm going to show you just how shit. That's a lot of bad experiences. That's not speaking for all guys, just a chunk of them. But you know, it's like, if someone comes into your life that's a burden, and most people do at this point, because I'm nearly 40, have relationship issues, trust issues in particular, where you've had bad experiences, and at this age it's also paired with you're just exhausted. That's part of my fight at this moment. It's like, I'm just tired, man. You could be the nicest guy in the world and I will still get fed up. Like, it's not just a case of bad experiences with men that have done fucked up things to me. It's like, I'm just generally life tired. So if you make my life harder at this time period, I haven't got the energy to tolerate your shit. So I'm not the kind of person that agitates stuff like that. I want things to be chill, and if you make it worse, I will leave. I'm not doing this. Oh, that was a tight one. That cement truck comes back with a vengeance, eh? Nearly took the arse off this RAV4. And he still had to stop. Ha! Suck it. Douche. Anyway, I think I'm steaming. One day their brakes are going to fail, and they're going to wonder why. Because you're gunning it towards a stop. It's like, what are you expecting? Some things can be justified. I will always say that anything to do with education is usually justified burdens, whereas relationships are a bit trickier. Financial burdens also can be smothering and choking. Try not to live outside your means. Like my brother, for example, has got this massive house at the moment. It's like a 5-bedroom big ass house, and I had to house sit for him over Christmas because he went up to Germany. That was my 5-week holiday housing for someone else. Like, woo. Yeah, anyway, I do a lot of favors, so I probably shouldn't have. It would have been nice to have a holiday in my house. But, you know, it was a case of he's got himself into debt because of the house that he wanted, which was actually his current wife's. Ooh, go on then. His wife's, he plagiarized, desire. She wanted this big fancy house. She wants to go on holidays every 2 years to Germany. They've both got big expensive cars, like ones that I would never buy. Firstly, because they're too big to drive. They're impractical, and they're impossible to fix, and the paying to get them fixed is horrible. So he's created this sort of clusterfuck of burdens, financial burdens, where he sits in his job where he teaches high school kids, which is stressed to the max, and he eats his emotions, so he's getting bigger. And it's just stressing him out, and he's created this horrible scenario we can't really get out of because he's attached to this one person who keeps pushing him to do it. And whilst being with someone should motivate you to want to do better, it's like there's versions of better that are actually detrimental to your health. I mean, he's stressing himself out just to pay for this fucking house and the cars and kids, which he actually opted in for the first one because he wanted to pass on his family name, but the second one came as a surprise. And I think a bit of a band-aid solution on her part, because he was already thinking about leaving her. So then suddenly she's pregnant, and I'm like, that's suspicious. That's a bit sus. So, you know, he got sucked into that sort of cycle of financial debt, trying to get to relationship security. But, you know, his perception of what relationship security is, to me, feels more like a prison than actually any kind of love-based thing. She is a nurse, so she has a job, yeah, but she's decided to take time off to have the kids. So, okay, that's her choice. She sacrificed her body to do what she wanted to do, what she felt maybe was her duty, or maybe she wanted kids herself. I don't know, man. I'm not motivated to physically have my own. I don't mind looking after other people's if they have them or if they come with them. It's like, you got kids? Okay, we'll make room. I'm not going to get obsessive about it. I work with kids. It's exhausting. I know the realities of having kids. That's why I opted out. People go into it thinking it's going to be, oh, isn't it cute? Everything's cute. And, oh. It's like, no. It's actually quite fucking exhausting, noisy, messy, and stressful. And you're constantly perpetually thinking if you're getting it right or wrong. You know, I know what it is. And then you got, like, in my job where there's 30 kids in a classroom, and you got to get it right and get them to do what you need them to do, and it's like forming a little legion, a little army of kids that just are fucking a rabble, man. They're everywhere. Half of them go fucking AWOL down the toilet because you don't know what the fuck they are. I was like, hey, where were you? Oh, we went to the toilet. You're supposed to ask first. Oh yeah. Oh shit. If there's a fire, we're all screwed. So it's kind of a lot like when you're like squadron leaders. Where are your people? I don't know. They went AWOL on the weekend and we got arrested. But you know, they blew up a watermelon on a cat. I don't know. But you know, I know exactly what it is to have kids. People see the glittery bit and go, oh, that's cute, I want to do that. But he's now sucked into this huge financial burden that he keeps trying to justify because it keeps his family running, and with a woman that he was about to leave. So it's like, are you sure that's what you want? Are you going to reevaluate that at some point? And now he's afraid that he'll lose the kids because she'll move back to Germany with the kids, so he'll lose the kids that way, and that's one of the things that's keeping her with him. Whether he actually loves her, I don't know. They met while he was touring around Australia. She was backpacking, he was touring because, you know, he'd broken up with his girlfriend, which I think honestly might have contributed to this in a kind of rebound kind of way. And they found each other, and then they met up again at a later date, and then got engaged, and then it felt very fast to me. But then again, I was like with my ex-husband 10 years before we got married, so I'm like, this feels fast moving to me. It's like, how long have you known each other? About a year. It's like, that's too soon. That's too soon. Not that I'm non-committal, but it just never occurred to us to get married. I mean, we're engaged since I was 18, but actual married, it just didn't, there was no push for it. And I'm not much of a pusher anyway, so it's like, if we're engaged, okay. Just want to keep it happy, man. So I don't want to push you in anything you don't want to do. After 10 years, I did get a bit, it's like, why have I got this ring? It's like, it occurred to me maybe we should set a date. It was like, oh, okay. But no, I don't know. These days there's no big push for it anyway, because I've already been it. I know what it is. It's not a burden as most people think. The burden comes from extra demands which people place on each other as a result of being labelled this particular thing. I was happy with the marriage practice. I had no problem with that. I had no problem being attached to someone in a sort of partnership project leading capability side things. The person, again, as I said, was wrong. It was the wrong person to lead with or try to co-lead with, because it just didn't work. He was way behind me. And part of that, I think, was jealousy because I was doing more things than him. And so to make himself feel like he had value, pumped himself up at the gym, became an arrogant asshole, and then started wanting or demanding open marriages. And I'm like, you know what? This is just fucked up. I can't do this. So beware of arrogant assholes that go to the gym. I'm not saying settle for someone who's not, you know, what you want in a person, but there is a predisposition to become an asshole if you spend 90% of your time toning your fucking muscle. Yeah. And looking at yourself in the mirror. Vain. Very vain. Yeah, anyway, so he already had, I think, mental issues. But I tried to make them go away in my mind because I wanted it to work, and it became this huge fucking burden. Wow, you just cut someone off? That was stupid. I love going through these areas where fuckers can't drive, but they've all got big cars and bull bars. It's like a Russian roulette. Who's gonna get fucked over today? It's like, what the fuck? Guy behind me in a Navara, again, nearly took my ass off. He's got a trailer. That fucker could jackknife at any point. And they took the nose off of some Pajero behind me. I'm going, you trying to get in trouble today? What is that? So most of this, I'm going off on a tangent, sorry. Most of this is about reevaluating what you actually want, what your inner alignment says. Is it worth being in these circumstances where you get attached to these burdens? Can you justify getting something out of it? And it sounds very transactional, but at the same time, it's also protective. It's not just a case of how can I attach myself to things and people and places so I can exploit them. It's a case of what is actually good for me? What is actually harmful of me? Do I want to belong to a social group, for example, just to say I belong to a social group when it's doing me damage? Psychologically, mentally, physically, emotionally. don't want to get attached to that fucker, because in the end it will just make it worse. It will take whatever predispositions you have and it will amplify them. For example, I am an enabler. Unashamedly, I'm an enabler. I should be ashamed, but I don't know what shame feels like, so yay, the Aspies. But I don't know what it feels like. It's fun. People hate me for it. So aren't you ashamed? Not really. I don't know what that's like. But I enable people. So when I was giving affection to my ex-boyfriend in the form of, buying him drinks and stuff, because he'd come to my house for the weekend when I could get him to come to my house for the weekend. The fucker didn't want to do anything for anyone, including ways that were nicer for him. Idiot. But I would go out and I'd buy all this booze because I know, he likes to have a drink. But I tend to be an abundance person, so if you say that you like something, you're gonna get a huge fucking amount of it. So he likes alcohol, so I'm like, okay. And it didn't register at the time that maybe I might have been enabling an alcoholic. So it was bad. So I tried to cut back on that. In hindsight, afterwards, towards the end, I'm like, we got to cut back on this. And I brought it up with him, but he didn't like it. And he stonewalled me. So I'm like, okay, dry, no, fine. So I stopped buying these huge amounts of booze, and I said, right, all right, if we're going out, then we're just going to the pub, because then at least I know cost-wise it should restrict you. Because pints are like $10, $15, $10 a go. And it's just, I shouldn't have had to have done that, man. It's like, you're a grown-ass adult. You should be able to regulate your own shit. So I was mothering him, and I enabled it, and I amplified his problems already. So at the same time, I'm sitting there looking at going, this guy's a burden to me, but at the same time, I'm allowing this burden to occur because I keep trying to help the situation, but my version of helping the situation does make it worse. If it was a case of I'm addicted to getting degrees, or helping other people, or if he had those kinds of addictions where he just wants to be a nice person and do the right thing, then I'm a great magnifier. I'm very supportive, and that would have helped. But he had predisposition to bad habits, and I just made the situation worse by allowing it and enabling it and empowering him to follow those addictions. So I was, in that sense, a bad girlfriend. But with the right guy. I gotta find the right guy. I'd be amazing as a girlfriend. It's like, what do you want to do? I want to build a business. Like, okay, let's go. And I'd be on board, and I've been trying to help him figure things out, and using what skills and knowledge I have already from my established businesses to try and get them up and moving and expanding and shit like that. It's like, so for the right person, I'm great, but that person already has to have the predisposition to want to do the right thing and be a good person, and that's where I fuck up. Because I attract assholes. Oh, look, white kitty. Meow, meow. Oh, it's so pretty. Oh, it's so fluffy. Sorry. It is. It's like a white, looks like a white Persian. Why do I know that? Anyway, I had a cat once. Oh, that's so pretty. You ever seen that Sabrina the Teenage Witch? And was it a white cat? No, it was Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and she had a white cat, I think, called Salem or something like that. It's one of those generically white fluffy cats. Fucking ASD tangents. Anyway, so I've got to be more careful with that particular type of bird, because I tend to amplify people's traits. I'm like a fucking energetic megaphone, which is good and bad. So I got to be really selective of who I go with these days. I wish I would find someone nice, though. I'm tired of these mean people. Anyway, they are mean. I don't know why. It doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't help anyone. It's just mean. They're poop. Anyway, so that's what I did with my ex-husband as well. Because I was supportive to the point where I sacrificed myself in supporting him with his endeavors. I was killing myself physically. I was constantly getting sick. My eczema, I do get eczema, it's disgusting. I feel like a lizard when I get eczema. Textures. But it's all down my neck, and it was traveling down my body, and I was stressing myself, making myself sick, trying to make someone else happy. And at that point, I wasn't going to put that burden down. I just kept taking more shit on. I'm going, it'll be alright, it'll go away, just put some cream on it, fuck it. And that's my solution to most things. Like, got any of that Sudocrem? Keep it going. We're gonna keep going. You load me up, bitch. I'm going. And that could be me as a human being. That could be trauma response from living with my parents. That could be, in esoteric terms, could be because I'm a Taurus. You know, it's like, load me up, bitch. I'm going on. And all my value and my sense of worth is mixed in with how much I can load myself up and keep going. That's the problem as well. I overdo it, and I know I overdo it, and it leads to burnout, heavy burnout. But then on the other hand as well, because I don't understand when I'm feeling burnt out, I just crack. So it's like, you're tired. I'm not tired. Thank you, autism. Are you tired? I don't think I'm tired. It's like when I got depression that time because I got divorced and separated and shit. My therapist said, you got depression. I'm like, I don't. You do. You can't sleep. You're crying. You're breaking down physically. I can see your body's wrecked. So I'm fine. So, which makes me think, it's like, you know, with that male toxic masculinity where they take on too much but they keep saying they're fine, and it is rampant because they can't be seen as weak for having, you know, issues. I have no problem with men that can acknowledge when they are tired. We're all fucking tired. It's a biological thing. It's okay to be fucking tired, man. It's okay to cry, also a biological thing, but this toughness where guys have to be tough all the fucking time. No, guys don't have to be tough all the time. We, as women, don't mind when guys cry and they're vulnerable and stuff like that, because then we feel less like assholes for crying. It's like, oh, thank God, someone else. And we're told the majority of our time that we're hormonal, so we are afraid to cry and stuff in front of guys in case they think we're just hormonal. Are you just being hormonal? It's like, oh, you're in your period again. It's like, no, fuck us. I'm literally surrounded by fuckholes, and my life is shit and falling apart. But because I'm not, you know, because I've got the predisposition of having ovaries, apparently I'm not allowed to grieve for it. You know, so women do have that form of toughen up princess shit. My mum was rampant with that shit. She didn't like any of us kids crying, so I've got that shit going on in my head as well. It's like, you're not allowed to cry when you feel like shit. You're not allowed to have emotions. My dad was all like, I don't like kids laughing and shit, so shut the fuck up. He didn't like noise. He's an asshole. So a lot of my childhood, it was expected for us to be silent and to be non-responsive and to be compliant. Non-responsive emotionally, if something goes wrong, you shut up and get on with it. That toughness, perceived toughness, which was really just trauma, covering up a lot of fucked up shit that you really should have just let out and grieved for, man. I mean, if you've got two parents that aren't emotionally there and you're in your formative years and you're trying to get this shit running without dying and trying to find yourself and survive the violence in that household, and you've got some fucker turn around and say, don't you dare fucking cry? Fucking cry. That's just asshole to tell people they can't let off the fucking steam, because that's how you snap. And you do snap. You have a complete fucking meltdown. Now, my snap was delayed because I got the autism. I didn't recognize the signs when they were happening. They go, I'm fine, I don't feel bad, I don't know. Even when I'm stressed now, I don't feel bad, but you'll notice like physiological changes in me. When I am stressed, I tend to have my trichomania kicks in. I'm sitting there like picking up my back and shit. I get cold sores, I get eczema. I look sunk in. You can tell when I'm tired. But mentally, I'm still... So, you know, I got so much shit to do, let's go. All right. And, you know, we're masking so much as Aspies. When I say Aspies, that's a form of autism. Or it was, but now they changed it because apparently it's not inclusive enough or some shit. And I'm like, fuck off, dude. Just give us something to work with. Masking is part of it. So I've trained myself either, consciously or subconsciously, to act in particular ways just to keep the shit running, you know? So I can't tell if it's me just not being able to recognize the physiological signs of stress and burdens, or if it's, you know, something I've conditioned myself to do. It's like it might be a pairing, because there's never either or, it's always and. So, you know, they say nature versus nurture. It's nature and nurture. I had a predisposition with autism to not be able to recognize my traits when I'm stressed and when I'm overburdened. Conditioned response to that, so the nurture that came with it was my parents saying, harden the fuck up, princess, and get on with it, with people just not recognizing that I am stressed and just assuming you're okay because you're not showing the crying or anything, or you know, and it's snowballed into ignoring my own needs. I'm picking up more burdens and everyone being okay with it because I'm taking on their work, and that's fine because it makes my life easier if she's taking that on. And you know, it's just people just get cluster fucked over by little various umbrellas like an umbrella of everybody just going dump on that person, they can handle it. And we get into the habit of it, and we start to believe that's what we can do because our trophy is how much we can handle, and you know, and it's fine. Everybody dumps their fucking work on us and we keep going, we plow along because we're worth it, we can do it, it's fucking Maybelline, you know, right? Maybe she's worth it. Maybe she's not worth having that much shit dumped on her because it's killing her. You know, that's an idea. And it's not just a female thing, it's a guy thing as well. Guys get dumped with a lot of stuff that they probably don't need to do, but at the same time, on the other hand, you've got the incompetent guys that weaponize incompetence, and so women get pissed off at them for not doing what they should be doing. But there are other types of women that dump on guys who are overdoing it, like my brother overdoes it. He's getting sick and quite big because he's eating his emotions because he can't handle the stress of the situation he's put himself in. It's a weird back and forth. Like my ex-boyfriend was incompetent and weaponized incompetence, didn't want to do it properly, so I'd do it for him. My dad was the same. My ex-husband was the same. But my brother is the other way around, where he overdoes it. It's like he's trying to compensate for the other side of his sex. It's like, those guys are fuck asses. Let's do it, overdo it. You know, there's no medium ground really, is there? Anyway, it's a weird dichotomy. So anyway, it's Friday. I'm going to have to leave it there because my kids are starting to rock up and they're watching me talking to myself in the car at the moment. So I'm hoping you guys have a fantastic Friday. If you are facing these horrible, horrible burdens, try and find a way to justify if they are worth your fucking time or energy. At this point, if someone is stressing you out to the max and they haven't contributed to solutions or support in any kind of way, and they're just feeding off your efforts and piling more shit on top of you, we've all had one of those spouses, I think, then it's probably time to start reevaluating either boundaries or what you're going to do for them or what's going to be your part and role in this situation. Or you can just fucking leave altogether. I did. And it got so much easier because, you know, when you're pregnant and they say you're eating for two, when I was married, I was carrying for two. So when I finally left, I was so much stronger. I had so much more time, more resources, more everything just to cope with what I actually wanted to do, my projects, that I was quick to recover. Emotionally, it took a while because I completely lost myself in that marriage. I didn't have an identity or anything because I'd gone from my parents who were controlling and told me who I was and conditioned me to be compliant, to a marriage where my ex-husband actually fed off that and, you know, benefited from it because he would just follow on the role of my parents and do the same, near enough the same thing. Except for the berserker thing, it was more a case of me worried about losing him because he was the only person that actually showed me fucking affection, which was fake affection. So you got to understand which bits are real and which bits are fake as well, which doesn't help when you got autism. You're like, is this real? Is this the real world? Is this the Matrix? Ooh, where's Keanu? We're gonna go have tea. But at the same time, it's like, you know, it's tricky navigating. And then you got like people who are just considered normal, and normal doesn't exist. I'm gonna say this for a fact. Perfect, normal, real truth doesn't exist. None of those things exist. There are other things as well I've thought about in the shower, but I'm not gonna bring that up now. These are all relative terms and labels. It's like there is no real, there is no true. Everything's from the perspective of everyone else, and that comes with anything to do with like looking at narrative inquiry. Everybody's story is valid if it is. You could go into Foucault. You could go, oh my god, I could spend all day on this. My favourite sociological theorist is Foucault because he's nuts. Michel Foucault. Go and look him up. He's pretty messed up in the head. But anyway, he talks about power and truth and knowledge and all the constructs around that kind of thing and how it plays into forming social spheres and interactions and things like that. It's pretty cool. Anyway, so absolute nutter. But you know, looking at his stuff, you go, can't believe he did that. But you know, you got to figure out what is actually worth your time. And it doesn't align with your moral code, because when I left my ex-husband, he was looking at giving me, sorry, I'm just checking the time. And he was giving me an ultimatum that I had to have an open relationship. And I know for a fact that didn't line up with my moral code. I'm sitting there going, are you fucking insane? It just wouldn't have, 5 minutes maybe. So while I was trying to justify being with this one person who I absolutely enmeshed myself in, and that's a BPD term, I do not have BPD, I enmeshed myself because I was looking for an identity in someone else. If I was married to this person, then I was a wife. I was his wife. I was, I had something. Not that I'd had an identity before that, because I was someone else's daughter or someone else's kid or sister or something. I was looking for an identity, and I enmeshed him in my identity, because if I was with him, I had something. And it's a sign of desperation and trauma response. I know that much, because you're just looking for any kind of stable ground. It's like, if I'm a wife, then I know what a wife is. I can be this wife. And not only that, because of my background, I can get it perfect. And I am a perfectionist because my mum beat the fuck into us. So you will get it right, and I know where that comes from too. But when you leave that person, that situation, you're left lost, and you've got no, like steering wheel to your car. You're just kind of just floating and hoping it fucking doesn't crash. And sometimes it will crash. And you got to recover from that crash. Reforming yourself after something as big as that, losing a relationship, or even just like your spouse dying, it will leave you lost. If you've managed to do things like have kids or build a stable relationship surrounding that person in a positive way, not just in a codependent kind of way, then at least you've got something to fall back on. But I had nothing. I had nothing. So I was starting from scratch. I'd lost this. Now what I see as a burden, but I didn't see it as a burden when I had him. It was tough work. I was willing to make it work. I believed in marriage. I believed in our marriage. I wanted it to go, and I wanted it to, not just for his sake, but for mine. And it failed because it had shaky foundations, to be honest. There was no way it could have stood the test of time, because it wasn't even. All the energy was flowing towards him and what he wanted to do, and what he wanted to be, and did he feel okay? And he never checked if I felt okay, so it was like tacked together with sticky tape and hoping it would work. Can you hear that? Someone's music. Those are the teachers. Oh, that's one of my kids. Hello. Where you get jelly sweets from? Rude. Never shares. But she's conscious. Anyway, yeah, you gotta evaluate what you actually want. I mean, is it worth your time? Is there any chance that it could, stab you in the back later, which it did for me? What's the risk in being in this situation? Are they going to come for your money? Are you going to, come for your kids? Are you it's tricky to do in hindsight, like when you're in the actual situation, because you don't want to believe this person could be that kind of person that would hurt you that much. But the risk is, you got to look at it critically, and it's the potential that it might happen, which is horrible because it takes all the romance out of it. I hate that. I like the romantic side. I love love. It's so nice. But it's horrible. You got to think like a general when really you just want to go with the fucking energy, man. It's like, why are you gonna make it fucking weird? It's like, why don't you just let me have what I want? Says every dictator ever. Can you imagine Hitler standing there stomping his little short foot? Only like 5 foot nothing. Like, mein Kampf. Let me have what I want. Fucking weird. I don't know what he was. I think he was short. Anyway, it'd be funny if he was. I'm gonna have to leave it there because I could go on weird tangents all day. Little Putin. No, you're a bad person. I'll leave it there. I gotta leave it. All right. So hopefully you're enjoying Freya's Day. It's Friday. My namesake, not my namesake, but my mom's day. This is the day I was born on, so it's my day. I love that I have Freya's Day. It's my birthday. It's not my actual, but I have 3. I'm not even going there. I could be here all day. All right. I'm hoping you have a fantastic Friday. If you don't do the Norse mythology stuff, and take it easy. And it's just the weekend coming up, and then we can relax. Yeah. Okay. And I'll see you hopefully on Monday.